Out front now, one of the people who met with the president-elect Trump as he decides key administration positions, Bob Johnson, the founder of BET. And you can see Johnson shaking hands here with the president-elect before their meeting at Trump's golf club in Bedminster, New Jersey. And Bob, thank you so much for taking the time. Good to talk to you again. And I want to start with the breaking news, if I could here. You know, Trump now denouncing racism from the alt-right. You heard his statement. President-elect Trump has continued to denounce racism of any kind. To think otherwise is a complete misrepresentation. Is this enough? Do you believe him?
Well, Aaron, I'm glad to be here with you. I had a very positive and I believe frank and candid discussion with President-elect Trump on issues that I believe are important to African Americans, and obviously any charges of racism are important to African Americans. I came away from that meeting understanding that President Trump is committed to reaching out to African Americans in a way that I expressed to him when I said, you know, President-elect Trump, don't say to black Americans, what do you have to lose? Say to black Americans, what do you have to gain by a Trump presidency? And in the course of my conversation with him, we talked about a number of issues, if implemented by President Trump and his administration, will demonstrate that African Americans have something to gain by establishing a common ground with President-elect Trump and his administration.
And you know, I think it's fascinating to have this conversation with you. You know, we just saw a moment ago, I'll just replay it quickly, what happened at this conference, which I want to make it clear, the Trump administration, Trump campaign has just come out and very clearly said that they denounced this. But here is the group that was out, you know, championing them, supporting them this weekend. Let me just play again this Nazi salute.
Hail Trump! Hail our people! Hail victory!
Does it disturb you? How do you get your arms around the fact that you've got people like that supporting him, but you had what you describe as a positive, frank, and candid meeting, and you think he's committed to reaching out to black America?
You know, as an African American who's been in business and had to come up and grow up from someone who was the first to go to college to create successful businesses and create wealth for myself and a number of other African Americans, I know that there are people like that in America. It's been that way ever since slavery existed in this country, and they're not going to go away tomorrow or the next day. And so as a black American, I put those people in a certain corner, and I put the president and the people who work for him in another corner, and that means to me they've got to show me what they're going to deliver to make those kinds of silly, you know, Nazi behavior irrelevant to black America. And the proof is in the pudding. If you want to demonstrate to African Americans that you totally reject that kind of behavior, which I believe Donald Trump and his administration does, then the next question is, okay, we understand that. Show me how you're going to help African Americans gain economic growth in this country, jobs, access to capital, and all the things that make you successful in this country. And so, you know, that information doesn't bait me to put it on the back of Donald Trump.
And when you had your meeting with him, was it just you and Donald Trump? Was his son-in-law also there, Jared Kushner? Who else was in the room as you had your conversation, Bob?
Yeah, I don't want to throw names around, Aaron, but I will tell you it was a group of people who he most respect and brought those people to the table because I think he wanted to have a candid conversation with me to talk about how he can better reach out to the African American community, particularly on business matters. I approach this thing with a focus on business solutions to social problems. I'm not a politician. I'm not a community leader. I'm more involved in business. Donald's a business, and I think that's the reason we had a very positive, I believe, and productive conversation.
And before we go, you are a Democrat, of course, Bob. You supported Hillary Clinton. You're talking very positively now about Donald Trump. Was there any talk about you working with Donald Trump in his administration?
No. I told him that I had no interest in working in the government. But let me say that you're absolutely right. I'm a tremendous fan of Hillary Clinton and President Clinton, known her for over 30 years. But I'm also a believer that as African Americans, we should not have what one congressman who started the Black Caucus said, no permanent friends, no permanent enemies, and no permanent, we only should have permanent interests. And if black Americans can turn the Republican Party into a friend, they should do it. If they can keep the Democratic Party as a friend, they should do it. Our interests should focus on our self-interest and not be locked in one party or ignored by the other party. And as President Obama and Hillary Clinton said, if we can find common ground with President-elect Trump, we ought to do it in the best interest of African Americans, the best interest of the country.
All right. Well, it's very good to talk to you, Bob. I appreciate your time tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron.